I'm not ready to die. I want no Negro to die. I want no human being to die or to be brutalized, because I thoroughly believe that the struggle can be won without brutalization. We have been told we will be arrested if we stay here. We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. Our power is in our ability to make things unworkable. The only weapon we have is our bodies, so we need to tuck them into places so wheels do not turn. We call for a nonviolent uprising of people sitting, standing, being arrested, black and white together. You see, I was arrested a total of 23 times and spent 22 days on the chain gang for breaking the laws of Jim Crow. The first time I ever took a stand was in the year 1942, when I sat on the second row of a bus and politely refused to move. Because of this, I was escorted off the bus by 4 policemen, and they began to brutalize me. But I knew deep down, if I was to try to get up, they would believe I was resisting. So I just forced myself up into a ball, withstanding every kick, punch, and racial slur, till I was finally able to stand up with my arms apart and say, "There is no need to beat me. I'm not resisting you." You see, my grandmother raised me as a Quaker and we were pacifists. I studied Gandhi's teachings in India. His beliefs became mine. When the U.S. entered World War II, I failed to appear in front of the draft board. I was taking a stand as a pacifist and a conscientious objector. Because of this, I spent 3 years in a federal prison. Gandhi's teachings embraced Dr. King and the Montgomery bus boycott in the year 1955 when I went to work for him. I told King Gandhi would believe that Montgomery could not win unless more protesters were taken. So Dr. King and 60 other black ministers in the year 1957, that January, all joined together and embraced these teachings to create the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I was an advisor to Dr. King and decided of our campaign. We were taking a stand for equality and changing history. You see, all 60 ministers and Dr. King adopted this slogan: "Not one hair on one white person shall be harmed during our fight and campaign for integration." But my work with the SCLC came to an end because of a threat. And this threat did not come from FBI agents or our current president at the time, but it came from another Negro leader, Harlem Congressman Adam Clayton Powell. You see, Dr. King and I were planning to march outside the 1960 Democratic Convention. Powell found out and decided to threaten King by using me. So I took a stand and let the world know that I was not ashamed of my homosexuality. But Powell continued to threaten Dr. King by using me. He said, "Dr. King, if you do not cancel the march at the Democratic Convention, I will tell the world that you and Byard are having a homosexual affair." A. Philip Randolph told King, "Let's simply deny these allegations against Byard and go about our business." But Dr. King, who already had fear from the president FBI, cut my involvement. This was the year 1960, and I felt betrayed by King, and it became the lowest point in my career. So I went back to work for A. Philip Randolph. In the year 1963, A. Philip Randolph wanted to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation with a march on Washington. A. Philip Randolph and the Big Six civil rights leaders all joined together to plan the march. The march was going to be named March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The Big Six argued over who was going to be the march's director, but they reached a compromise when A. Philip Randolph agreed to be the march's director with me as his deputy. Warren Wilkins of the NAACP told Randolph, "We're going to hold you accountable for any embarrassment caused by Byard during the march." So I took a stand and accepted this job. I only had 8 weeks to plan. Our headquarters was set up in Harlem. We planned out precisely the numbers of toilets that would be needed, first aid stations, doctors, and what people should bring in their lunches. And our plans emerged. You see, The government and President Kennedy did not know what to expect. So they prepared for the worst. And fearing violence, like the SNCC March earlier that year, they had 3,000 military troops on standby at the Washington Monument, 30 Army helicopters over the reflecting pool, and 4,000 troops in the suburbs. Marchers were under instruction to leave by Wednesday night. We raised money to fund the march by selling these buttons. Around 5 a.m. the day of the march, reporters asked me what my projected numbers. I simply had hope if people would show up. So I simply stood there with a blank piece of paper in my hand and said, our best calculations say 100,000. On August 28, 1963, marchers came marching up Conscience Road. They arrived by bus, planes, cars, and on foot, taking a stand to change history. The agenda for the day was printed out on these programs, and we passed them all out. I scheduled Dr. King to speak last because nobody wanted to speak after him. His speech became known as the I Have a Dream speech. Our marchers conducted themselves peacefully and dispersed late that afternoon. This became the greatest day of my life. So all we needed now is change. And change came in the years 64, 65, and 68 with the passage of the Civil Rights. Change came in the year 2009 when Barack Obama was inaugurated as the first African-American president. Change came in 2013 when I was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for my stand in history. You see, I took a stand for history and stood in the shadows of civil rights graves and led the March on Washington. I'm here today to tell you, I am Byard Rustin.